there, Chef Mommy. We're going to get started in a moment, but I'm here with Karen, and Karen is all things gluten-free.
Yes.
I met Karen actually before I even moved to Tampa, and I've been here now for going on 2 years. But Karen really enlightened me and educated me about celiac disease, and not only celiac, which is the extreme, but all of the nuanced issues that people can have, you know, that have like gluten intolerance. And she is fiercely committed to educating people. And today we're doing a demo.
Yay!
So I'm excited about that. I have Karen in my kitchen.
A lovely kitchen.
Thank you.
Gorgeous kitchen.
Thank you. And so her people are, we're waiting for some more of her people to come in. But today we're going to be working on, you all have seen this on my page, we're going to be doing cauliflower steak. So it's yummy, it's simple, obviously it's gluten-free, and it's healthy. So please stay tuned.
Yes, we are excited. Very excited to be here. And yes, when I met CC, it was a beautiful, almost like kindred spirits right away. We just kind of clicked, and it's been wonderful. And I'm excited to be here with her in her beautiful home, in her beautiful kitchen. And this is a privilege for me. I am not a chef by any stretch. I'm a kitchen hack, and the folks in my group know this for sure. I'm always telling them about my quickie ideas of how to do things and cut corners. So,
but what's great about this recipe, and actually, you know, it's simple. It's not complicated. You're going to be surprised to see how simple it is to make something that's so delicious and it's good for you. And what you all will learn is that it just takes planning. It just takes planning. And one of the things that I always talk about is building layers of flavor. And when you do that, you don't need a whole bunch of salt and things like that. So for those that are looking at the Insta from my page, we've got a lot of fresh aromatics and things like that that are going to go into it. And it's going to be really good.
Really good. Super excited.
Really
yes.
good.
And you're just touching this one. I've been telling my, that wasn't yours. Your app cafe, your spices. You should bring those out.
I should. So I have my spices here, and I actually use my spices. So you'll see.
And I use her spices. They're now a staple in my home.
So we have the tofu scramble magic, the habesha spice, and the curry. We're not going to use them today on this dish, but these would be a great seasoning to use on the cauliflower.
Definitely.
In addition to actually, you know what? Let me go grab my sauce and I'll be right
back. Sauce, the maple jerk. Yes, my husband was just asking as he was preparing his own dinner tonight, because I'm not cooking twice, right? So he was asking me, where's that sauce that CC has? I'm waiting for it. I can't find it. Where is it?
This one has not been refrigerated.
I told him I ran out, so I'd have to bring him some more, but this is fantastic.
That would be really good on this.
Yes, it really would. Yeah, it really would. It's really good on pretty much everything. She makes me feel real chefy when I make something and then I throw this in. It's really good.
It is.
For sure. So, well, you want to get started? You want to
get started? Okay, let's get started.
We can. I don't know.
So for those of you who are just joining, my name is Cynthia, or Chef CC, and this is Karen. And I was just sharing that Karen and I met a few years back. She is a somebody's trying to get in. She is a
practitioner,
yes,
certified functional nutrition counselor, yes, and a national board certified health and wellness coach.
So she's the real deal. I just cook nice tasting things, but she's the real deal. She's got all the certifications. But what I was trying to say is that she is an ambassador for gluten-free living.
Yes.
And she's given me so many tips on identifying gluten and things I didn't know. Like you told me about the scanner.
Yes.
That I can use. There's a scanner that's available if anybody's interested.
Get it on your phone. GF Scanner Full.
GF Scanner Full. And every product that has a barcode, you can scan it and it will tell you if it's truly gluten-free, because sometimes packaging will tell you it's gluten-free or it won't say anything at all. And so that helps you save yourself from having some kind of attack or issue because you've ingested gluten without realizing it. So
Exactly.
you're able to take your health into your own hands instead of hoping that the grocery store got it right.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's a great tidbit that you shared with me. And just really understanding that gluten, that there are nuances to it. As I was saying earlier, there are people that have celiac disease that have really, sometimes violent reactions
Very
to gluten.
severe.
And it manifests in so many different ways. It's not only intestinal discomfort.
Exactly.
Tell us about some of the other things that happen.
Sure. So there's a whole spectrum of disorders. It's called gluten-related disorders. So you might go from something very mild. Maybe some people are getting hives or a skin rash or getting itchy. Some people may have a true gut reaction and it's pretty immediate. They know that they've been glutened and they're racing for the bathroom. But 1 in 8 people are not having those types of symptoms. They're actually having a neurological symptom. So it's crossing the blood-brain barrier. They're having issues with sensitivities that they're not even noticing because it's systemic and it's happening in a very inflammatory way inside in their entire body. So basically what I can say about this is gluten is a very difficult little molecule. So it has so many things that can be very similar to it. And when our immune system identifies it as a problem, it starts to identify other things that look molecularly similar. So for instance, dairy and gluten. Under a microscope, a molecule of dairy and a molecule of gluten look very, very similar.
Wow.
So yeah, and so you do see that a lot. People that have a gluten-related disorder also are lactose intolerant. Exactly. So yes, we see that a lot. It goes hand in hand. But what people also don't realize is that it's also similar under a microscope as the tissue in your brain, as the tissue in your thyroid. So your body starts to identify its own self as an issue.
Wow.
And the more that we're introducing things to the body that the body has already identified as a problem, the more the body ramps up its attack. And so if we're adding too much gluten and the body says, no, gluten's an enemy. Now we're adding dairy. The body says, this looks like gluten. We're going to attack that too. And we're still doing it. And we don't know. That inflammation is burning and burning and burning. And the body's immune system is getting triggered and triggered until it starts to attack the thyroid because it says, well, this looks just like it.
Wow.
So let's attack here.
Wow.
So there's so many, like you said, so many nuances, so many different areas on the spectrum of gluten-related disorders that people don't always recognize or immediately think about.
And that makes you really rethink splurging on that discomfort because once you realize that while you're just thinking that you may have to go to the bathroom, you don't realize so much is going on in your system.
Internally, exactly. And it can cross the blood-brain barrier. I've had many clients that have come to me with severe anxiety, almost debilitating anxiety. And we do what's called the Wheat Zoomer. It's from Vibrant Wellness Labs, and you can look them up and look up Wheat Zoomer. And if you're interested or you want to get tested to know your body's relationship with gluten, I'm more than happy to help you out with that. But basically, we've tested these patients because it's better to test than guess. We want to know for sure. And found out that they were on the spectrum, that they had a gluten-related disorder. And when we pulled out the gluten, the anxiety went away.
That's amazing. It is amazing that to recognize that nutrition can create mental health and emotional issues as well.
Absolutely. So, food can be nutrition, but it can also be poison.
If it's not right for your body, it's not right for your body.
Exactly.
Which is one of the things that's really interesting. I was saying the other day that, you'll see people like commercials say, oh, I want to have that pizza. Let me take this Pepsi.
Yeah.
Don't eat the pizza.
Exactly.
Your body is telling you, I cannot tolerate pizza. So while you may not have the
indigestion,
it's still doing that damage.
Exactly. The systemic inflammation that's still happening. The fire is still burning. You're just not feeling it because you've kind of doused it a little bit, but those embers are still there.
Wow. Well, I have a good girlfriend who was on earlier. I don't know if she's still there, Chef Mommy, Heather Martin. And Heather Martin, she has got a ministry on her own because she has 4 children, and every single one of her children, they're allergic to nuts, they're allergic to dairy. I don't know if they're also, I don't think it's gluten, but one of her children cannot even be near fish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she is masterful in creating delicious dishes and using alternate flours and alternate this, that, and the other for her kids. So it's real. And all I can truly think is that a lot of this is tied to how wheat is grown.
Yes.
How it is grown, the pesticides that are put on that wheat, it's ground up, it's made into flour, made into bread and baked goods, and then we ingest it.
Exactly. Well, and it's also a hybrid of what it used to be 100 or plus more years ago, right? So it's completely different wheat than our ancestors' wheat. And I say this to my group all the time, it's not so much the food, it's what's been done to the food.
As we were talking about chicken and stuff earlier.
Yes.
Chickens used to be this big, now they're this big. And whatever they use to take the chickens from this to this
is making us go from this to this.
That's my excuse. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. Okay, so let's get to these cauliflower steaks. Now, you know, there are a couple of things that have been that plant-based cooking has made very sexy. And one of the sexy items is cauliflower.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And it's really hearty. It is low in calories. It's relatively inexpensive. I mean, I know we're going through some stuff with inflation, but it's relatively inexpensive. And it's the kind of thing that really you can get a nice good serving if you're doing steak with this. So we are going to do a oven roasted cauliflower steak, and we're going to do like a kind of like a tapenade, like a Mediterranean type of relish or salsa. And it's going to have parsley, mint, some fresh tomatoes, olives, capers. We're going to do some lemon zest and lemon juice. And we've got this delicious, this is like one of my favorite products ever. And it's gluten-free. We checked. This, have you had this feta?
I have not.
It literally is better than real feta.
Wow.
It is so creamy and delicious. So we're gonna put some of that in here as well. And it's gonna be a beautiful, light, fresh, flavorful dish. I always talk about how a lot of the dishes I cook would be beautiful dishes on the center of a table. And it's just beautiful, plant-based, healthy, delicious food.
They're gorgeous foods. And they're very tasty.
Yes.
She has cooked for me.
Yeah, I have cooked.
I have ordered up a week's worth from this woman, and it's so good. It is so good.
So the first thing that we're going to do is when you're doing these steaks, you want to make sure that the core stays intact. Because if you get rid of the core, your cauliflower is going to fall apart.
The whole thing crumbles.
The whole thing crumbles. So all we're going to do is take off. We're just going to take off these leaves that remain.
Yeah, my husband was excited when he heard the word steak. He says, "Oh, so you're making steak?" And he's thinking, like you said, cauliflower is everywhere, right? So cauliflower rice is like, what did you like? Dipping it in the cauliflower, like it's breaded with cauliflower, and you're bringing me a steak. I'm like, no, baby, no, this is not what's happening.
It's the real McCoy. It's the real deal. And I always tell people, when Karen was getting the supplies for this recipe, I told her to pick up 2 cauliflowers. And if you're going to do this and you want to do steaks, always get an extra one, because there's a good chance that it could fall apart. And if you're doing something where you want to have 4 or 5 of them on a plate, make sure that you have 2 so you can get your slices. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So what we're going to do?
Can you call it a casserole if it falls apart?
You can. I mean, you can do the same treatment to cauliflower florets. You can. You know, this is just a way of kind of zhuzhing it up, and you know, somebody who's used to eating steaks, you can tell them they're having a steak. Although we talked about that earlier, like, it's not a steak.
It's not a steak.
Vegan cheese is not cheese. It's getting a lot better, but look.
Right. You have to go in with the mindset, open mindset.
Right.
And you train your taste buds too, I've noticed on this journey.
Oh, absolutely.
That you're not craving those things anymore. Like for me, I have been red meat free for probably 3 years now.
Wow.
And I just recently vanquished all poultry, and I'm down to only fish and only twice a month.
Beautiful.
And now the thought of just eating red meat turns my stomach. Like I can't even.
Well, I shared the other day that our taste buds actually regenerate every 10 days. So what that means is you can literally retrain your palate. Somebody's saying something.
Oh, let me get it here. Yes, eggs. And I can't stand the smell or texture or even looking at it. It makes me sick. Yes. Okay. That was from Laura.
Yeah,
Yes.
every 10 days, our taste buds regenerate. So what that means is that whatever you're eating, you're going to crave more of. So if you want to transition out of super salty stuff like Doritos and Oreos and all that kind of stuff,
Prepackaged.
start eating that fruit. And eventually what's going to happen is your palate will be retrained. And in a matter of time, you're literally going to start craving pure food.
Yes. Whole food, real food, actual food.
Actual food. So we have the oven at 400 degrees. We've got that good and hot, and I'm going to cut this now, and I'm a little nervous because I'm pretty sure something's going to fly off of here.
Don't make it pass up.
No. So you see how that, because
the first one's crumble.
Yeah, because we really are not near.
We're not over the base.
We're not over the base yet. So that's
Okay.
what's happening. So what you typically do is, let's just put those. If
Okay.
You can just put
All
those
right.
in
You
there.
tell me. I'm the
She's
helper.
the sous
I'm the
chef
sous
today.
chef.
And so
And that might
now-
even be a stretch for me, but I'll take it.
Yep, and there's another one. So now we're at the heart. So see, this is why I'm telling you to get 2 of them.
Right.
Because
So this could be like a 4 ounce.
this you can obviously do all of those.
Sure.
We can do all of them. But what we're going for
It's a big party one.
is the big hearty. So there's
Beautiful.
steak number 1. And we're gonna
cut
get,
this one too.
I think we're okay. I think
Okay.
we're okay. We'll do 2 of them.
Okay. We can do that one.
Yeah, we can do this one as well. So
Okay.
let me just put that here. Okay, so we've got our 2 steaks cut. And you need to hold them gingerly because they can always fall apart. And these are about 1 inch thick.
Mhm.
You want them thick enough so that they're hearty, but not so thick that they don't cook in the time. You want them to have a nice crispness to them, but you want them to have a little bit of softness as well so that, I mean, if you wanted raw cauliflower, you just wouldn't put it in the oven. So if we're putting it in the oven, we want to make sure that it is cooked.
Okay.
So I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to work on the marinade that's going to go over our steak. And this is going to be really simple. We're going to use some yummy extra light olive oil. And I'm using this because I don't want that flavor. Olive oil, the purer it gets, it has a strong flavor to it. And we don't want that. We just want this as the vehicle to, for the heat. Look at that. See how it started to fall apart just now?
Because he's not satisfied, maybe. That's okay.
Yeah, but we don't want any flavor from this. So I'm not going to
So
use
the extra light.
Yeah, extra
Okay.
light. So we're probably going to use about 1/4 cup total.
And what's your thoughts on oils? We were talking in our group this week a lot about oils. Some of them, some people say with olive oil, you shouldn't even heat it at all. Some people say, at least in my understanding too, never a high heat.
Never a high heat. That's what I was going to say. Never a high heat. What we're doing here, it's going to be in the oven for about 20 minutes. There are some people in Italian culture that actually fry things in olive oil.
Yes.
Yeah. But
My husband's Italian.
it is not best. So avocado oil is really good. Peanut oil is really good for frying. Although obviously when you're trying to eat healthy, you're not doing much frying.
Sure.
But
Coconut
peanut oil, coconut oil, avocado oil,
Mhm.
those are good oils for frying because they can withstand high
Super
heat
high heat.
and they don't get funky on you. They don't, I can't remember the term right now. I'm having a
The
brain fart.
ROS, I went through this the other night with my group. The oxidative,
Right.
yes, that.
Yeah.
The oxidative stress.
Don't fry with olive oil. Don't
Right.
use things like avocado, peanut, even vegetable oil, canola oil. Don't use that.
No,
Google it. You'll see what we're talking about.
exactly.
So we've got 1/4 cup of olive oil here. We're going to do a pinch of salt, a pinch of black pepper. I've got some fresh garlic here that I'm going to put through my garlic press. Love this because again, we're building layers of flavor. That smells really good. Okay, we've got our garlic there. We're going to use some fresh lemon juice. So use your knife there. Thank you. I'm going to save the other half for our marinade. I'm not a marinade, for our tapa or like our salsa or relish. It's going to go on top.
Garnish.
Yep. So we're just going to put this in here. Our lemon juice.
You have all the gadgets. See?
All
This
the
would make
gadgets.
me more happy if I had all the gadgets.
And just a little bit of smoked paprika. That's going to give us some warmth. And if you could grab that tray from behind us, we're going to transfer this to the tray.
Oh, so carefully.
Oh, so
Oh,
carefully.
so carefully.
I've got to tell you, you know, the interesting thing is we quite often in Western medicine, we treat the symptom and not the cause. And I think that that's where, you know, this is just my opinion. I don't know that it's factual. This is where a lot of this autoimmune stuff, I feel like that is the basis for it, because we are heaping medications on top of symptoms instead of getting to the root of the matter.
Absolutely.
And one of the things my husband always says is that basically your gut is the brain of your body.
Yes.
That's like the second brain.
It
of
is
your
the
body.
second brain, but ironically, what most people don't know is for every one message your brain is sending to your gut is sending 9 messages back to your brain. So if your gut is out of balance, everything in your system is out of balance.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. And it is the Band-Aid effect, I think. And getting back to, like you said, too, people that are saying, well, if I just eat the pizza, right, I'll take the Pepcid. Or if I know that I'm going to have, you know, some bathroom issues, I'll take Imodium and I'll be fine. But really all you're doing is masking the symptoms. The fire is still blazing, right? You just maybe put it out a little bit in terms of the smoke and the blaze itself, but the embers are still burning. There's still inflammation going on. And what people don't realize too, in terms of gluten, if you have 5 grams of gluten, like a breadcrumb size of gluten, like here, I'll pick up a little piece of our cauliflower. This much gluten can induce 6 to 8 weeks of inflammation.
Oh my gosh.
So this is not that big. It's itty bitty.
Wow.
6 to 8 weeks of inflammation.
Wow.
So I want to jump into, we have another question. How much smoked paprika?
Oh, we use maybe like a half a teaspoon. And you know, if you're somebody who loves the smoky flavor, you can add more. There's no like perfect recipe here. This is just to add a little bit of flavor to it, along with our fresh garlic and our salt and pepper, and our little lemon. The garnish or the relish or the salsa that's going to go on it is aggressively seasoned, so we don't have to do too much to this. Yeah, so it's not much at all. So we've got it all mixed together, and I'm just going to use this brush
and baste it on there.
And
it smells amazing. Like nothing is in the oven yet, and this smells amazing already.
Yeah,
it really does.
You want to make sure you get in all the little nooks and crannies.
So we're like marinating our steak.
Yeah, well, this is going to go into the oven. We're going to pop this into the oven, and it's going to help it to kind of broil.
Infusing the flavor.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. You know, cauliflower is a great vehicle. If you don't do it, it's just as though it'll taste like nothing. It's kind of like tofu. I always tell people that tofu, you've got to work with it. You can't take it for granted. It will embarrass you every single time. Like the other day I made a French toast, and I used tofu in the base. And somebody was asking, well, don't you taste the tofu? And I said, have you tasted tofu before?
Right.
Unless you really work with it, it doesn't taste like anything. So I was like, no, it doesn't, it's not gonna do anything. We might have to make a little more of this. So we've got the 2 steaks done, and now I'm going over the piece that broke off. And you know, I've even done whole cauliflower.
Mhm.
That's a great thing
So-
to do as well.
In the same manner.
In the same manner, but you just keep it whole and you just, you know, you get your great, whatever you want your flavoring of your marinade or your sauce to be, you
Mhm.
just generously put it on there and you roast it, and it is delish. But that's like really something that you've got to be on the whole vegetable route, because I think a meat
Right.
eater would see that and they'd be upset at you. You know?
Now, would you cook a whole cauliflower also on 400 just for longer?
What you have to do with that is you typically kind of like parboil it. You'll just dip it in hot water, like boiling water,
Mhm.
for like a minute or so. Take it out, let the heat kind of like evaporate the water, and then you put it in the oven after
Okay.
yeah.
Does that, I
You
mean,
gotta
this
do a
might
little
be
more
a
with
silly
it.
question, but does that like open up the pores? Does that open something up? What
Well, it
does
just
that
kind of,
do?
it partially cooks it because it's
Okay.
whole, so that the heat's not able to get to it like it is here.
Okay.
So we're kind of jump starting the cooking process. Yeah. Okay, so we have, folks, see, we have generously rubbed on our marinade, and it's gonna go in the oven now for 10 minutes at 400. You're right.
Fantastic. All right, wonderful. Is anybody cooking with us? Anybody cooking with us? Thumbs up. Maybe, maybe not.
So I'm gonna make a little bit more marinade because we used up quite a bit for that. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Oh, here, if someone has a nightshade sensitivity to peppers or chilies, what would you substitute for the paprika?
I mean, you don't have to use it all. You could go with cumin. You could go a completely different route,
Turmeric?
you know? Turmeric, cumin. I don't really think that turmeric
Doesn't have a huge flavor.
no, it's got a lot of great health benefits.
Absolutely. Very
Lot of great health
anti-inflammatory.
benefits. But yeah, you don't have to use smoked paprika. You can use, yeah, cumin, coriander. You can just use garlic powder and onion powder.
Mhm.
There's numerous ways that you can get flavor into it without using that. That's just, I just kind of like the warmth, but speaking to the warmth, cumin would be the perfect thing to add some warmth to your marinade.
Okay, good to know. Great question.
And again, speaking with the nightshades, you don't have to use the tomatoes here. If you wanted to, you could do carrots. You could,
Okay.
you know, finely chop carrots in this.
And then the sauce would be different too.
The sauce would be different. What you could do is I would just swap it out for hummus. I have made this.
Yes,
with
that was an
hummus.
option on your recipe guide that we could use hummus instead.
I have made it with hummus and it's really yummy. I think that's actually like my preferred way of doing it.
And if I'm being honest, I went with the sauce simply because I'm bringing this home to my husband who's already on the edge because it's not true steak and he's Italian. And I brought it to him with hummus. Forget it, right? Forget about it, right? We'll be Italian for a minute. Forget about it. It's not happening. So I figured the safer bet to at least get him to attempt to try it would be the tomato. So.
Okay, so this marinade, oops, let me put the little bit of lemon in this one. I got another lemon.
Okay.
Let me add this. Handy sink here is my. All right, so when our 10 minutes are up, we've got this, we're gonna flip it over and then we'll
Pour some
base
more.
it again and then we'll go on about business. But so what we're gonna work on now is we're gonna work on what actually is going to go on top.
All right, and we just got a
of the
message
steak.
from, what's like, is it maybe Stephanie? She's saying we had a big snowstorm in Indiana, so couldn't get out to the store to buy ingredients. And I know there's a lot of people that are stuck in snowstorms right now. And we're down here in Florida, it was 83 degrees today.
But it was
Beautiful.
like
28
20
the
something
other
degrees.
night. It was crazy. We have a lot of
Crazy.
swing shift
We have
weather.
neurotic weather in
It's, yeah,
Florida.
Mother Nature's very confused here.
So what I would like to ask you to do
Yes, ma'am.
is
Put me
if
to
you
work.
can chop up that parsley.
Okay, all of
And
this,
then,
part of it,
just get like what I would do is I would just like grab a good handful.
like this,
Yep.
okay?
And then just, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be minced, but we want everything to kind of blend together. So
Okay.
get kind of like a coarse chop to it. So we're doing parsley, we're doing some scallion, we've got some green olives here, we've got capers. It's going to give us some really nice kind of saltiness, almost kind of like a fishiness to it. And we've got some fresh mint and some grape tomatoes.
No. All right, is this good? Am I chopped
Yeah,
enough?
just chop it a
A
little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. I always tell people I like to cut things.
You're a way better chopper than I am.
Well, I better be. I
hope so.
better be. You want things to be cut uniformly because you want it all to blend together well, because I'm greedy, and when I eat, I want to taste
wanna
of
do
everything in every
All
single
the
bite.
flavors, I
All the
agree.
flavors.
I do agree with that.
So she's got the parsley. I'm going to chop up some mint. You can also use basil in place of mint. But we're really going for a super Mediterranean flavor. One of my favorite things to make is our like falafel, and I will do, I'm having all kinds of brain farts today.
We're gonna blame it on the weather.
Yeah, blame it on the weather.
How's this? More? How's this? More?
Just a little
I
bit.
feel like I'm failing you
Just
already.
no, you're not. No, you're not. So we've got our mint. Yeah, I love Mediterranean food. So I like to do the freshness of the mint along with the parsley.
There has got to be a technique to this that I am clearly unaware of.
Okay. You know what? This is the kind of thing you don't have to see. This is why it's so good that we're making this, because the end result is going to be delicious. Everything does not have to be perfectly cut.
Right,
That's
okay,
not what we're doing.
good. I'm glad for the disclaimer. How much mint and parsley? This is another
So
question
we're
happening.
using probably 2 tablespoons of mint, and I would say about a 1/4 cup of parsley.
Or a good handful.
Yeah, or a good handful. That's so funny. My mother used to say, and I'm quartering these grape tomatoes, so half and then half. My mother used to use this term. I think it's a West Indian term. She would say, put a titch in there.
Just a little titch.
A titch.
Or a smidge.
And I knew exactly what that meant. I
Mhm.
couldn't tell you, but I mean, I can show you.
Sure.
But she would say, just put a titch. That was her thing.
Mhm.
And it worked out. So drop that in a bowl. That smells good. Are
It
you
smells
smelling that?
amazing. It smells amazing.
Smelling good. And we're going to use about a cup of tomatoes. And it's always good to have more of this than less, because depending when you serve it, you know, somebody might say, oh, I want some more of that, you know, relish, salsa, tapenade. I'm calling it everything today. So I always think it's better to have more of this than less. And this is something that's so good. Like the other night, my husband wanted a little snacky snack at night.
Oh, sure.
And I got some wassa bread and I put a little bit of hummus on it. And then I put like tomato and cucumber and parsley. And it was a delicious, light nighttime treat. Yep.
Healthy snack.
Yep. So if you could get started on cutting those olives in half,
Okay.
maybe like a handful.
And these are pitted, so I don't
These
know
are
if that's
pitted
gonna
and
be a
stuffed
question
with
too.
pimentos.
and-
Yeah, they are.
yeah.
Now you can use black olives as well. I like the green because I feel like green is a little bit more Mediterranean leaning.
Can you see that? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Just cutting them right in half
Yep.
or more?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
You're good. We are doing just fine. So this, you said this is your first live
This
cooking?
is my first live cooking. Yes.
Wow.
And if you would have told me a year ago that I would be doing this, I would like, there's no way. Live anything, but I'm expanding, not just my palate, but my level of comfort with all things tech.
Yeah, well, it's the reality. And you've got a great message that you got to get out there. So
Absolutely.
you got to overcome that, you know?
Absolutely. So here we go. Am I putting these in there too?
They're going right in there. Those are perfect. And I'm on
Fantastic.
to my last tomato. And what else? Oh, we've got the feta. All right.
Is that us? We're done.
Well, we're at our halfway
At our
mark.
10-minute mark.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and now I'm gonna mince up the capers. These are these have a lot of salt to them.
Okay.
You want like little pieces of this. You don't want it overwhelmed with capers. Have you ever tasted them?
No.
You should take one and taste it.
All right.
So I'm gonna mince these. I'm sure you've had it. If you've ever had like chicken piccata or something like that, it's usually cooked with like lemon and
it has the tang of a lemon and it is salty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that is going in there as well.
Okay. Fantastic.
And the last thing we're going to do is the feta. Yep. So this is, you can open that up
Open
and
this
I
up.
will take this out. We're going to flip it
Open here.
over.
Okay. And this feta is gluten-free. It says on the package, it's by
BioLife.
BioLife, thank you. And it's 100% vegan.
Mhm.
So soy-free, gluten-free, lactose-free, no nuts, no preservatives, no
Yep.
dairy.
And 100% delicious. So I don't know if you all can see how much color we've already gotten on this.
What's really good.
Yep, and we're just going to carefully flip it over.
And it smells amazing.
Yep, it does.
I wish the smell could transfer.
Smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision, there we go. Yes, for sure. Another question popping in, how much of the capers and feta? I literally, I took like a smidge.
Yeah, you're probably going to use, depending. I mean, there's some people that really like capers. If you're a caper
Right.
lover, you might
Sure,
want more of
sure.
it. So we probably have about a good tablespoon total minced
Mhm.
of the capers. So I'm now going over the other side of the cauliflower with our yummy sauce.
And it looks fantastic. It smells fantastic.
And we're just going to get these here. These little ones.
So do you experiment on your husband?
Oh yeah.
All the time, I'm sure.
All the
I do
time.
too, but it doesn't go over so well.
Well, you know, I always,
what is she up to now? What is
I
she
always
making?
make the joke that my hips speak to the amount of research I've done on food. And I've done enough research that I think that is why I don't take that often. So,
You're doing great. Your
so
food
this
amazing.
is the other side has now been dressed in our marinade, and it's going back in the oven for 10 more minutes.
Okay. This is our feta, non-feta.
And I want you just to take a piece of it. I want you to, let me just cut it.
Okay.
Like I literally, there you go.
Thank you.
So,
It's really creamy
isn't that
and rich. It's very good.
vegan feta?
You would never know.
BioLife for the win. I love them. I love all of their products.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
amazing.
So now what we're gonna do, someone was asking how much do you put in there? However much you wanna put.
Right.
So I am cutting it and I'm gonna cut this in half again, because you don't want big pieces. Remember, we
Okay.
want it to kind of blend
Right.
what's already there with what's already there. And we're just gonna, now the one thing is this doesn't crumble well. So if you're looking for it to crumble, it's not gonna do that. I've thought about putting it in the freezer and seeing how that, if and how that changes the texture. Because it kind of kills it, because you see it's like little blocks of cheese. It doesn't, if it was crumble, I think it would look better. But
I see crumble to me, I think blue cheese, and I've never been a blue cheese fan.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we are ready to just clean up a little bit.
Okay. My little workstation is not nearly as neat as yours.
You're good. And I'm going to use a little bit of that. As she was saying, we bought it prepared. I know what else I need to do. I bought a prepared sauce. She bought a prepared sauce. So it's easy.
And it's Primal Kitchen. My group knows this is one of my favorite brands. And this is the tomato basil marinara sauce with avocado oil. It is certified gluten-free, no soy or canola, no added sugar. And we had a big, long conversation Tuesday night about added sugars. They are putting sugar
in
everything. Everything.
And don't get started on corn syrup.
Oh, please, no.
So we're squeezing the juice of our lemon over here. I could not find my microplane, but if I did, I would zest this, because I always love adding the zest. Yeah,
And there's so many nutrients in the skins and the peels of the fruit as well.
absolutely. Now, we don't have to add any salt to this, because we've got our olives that are salty. We've got our capers that are salty. We've got the feta that's got some salt on it, but I am going to add a little pepper. And if you wanted to add some spice to this, you could always add some red pepper flakes.
Oh, yeah.
You like spice?
My husband loves the red pepper.
All right, so let's get a
Yeah.
little bit of little red pepper flake here.
And that one's gluten-free.
You know what? Let's look and see.
Let's check.
It just says red chili pepper. So can we trust it? Do you want to scan it?
I'm gonna scan it.
Let's scan it with
I'm
your
gonna scan it.
gluten-free scanner.
That's it. Okay. So scan. Oh, I'm glad we did. Can you see this?
What's it saying?
It says may contain gluten.
Wow.
So good thing we did that.
Wow.
We saved ourselves. Well, we
See, you
saved
know what?
me from a
Because-
lot of drama.
Because my assumption would be, and see, this is why I was saying you cannot trust.
You cannot trust
You
the
can't trust
packaging.
the packaging.
No.
Because I'm looking at this and it says ingredients, red chili pepper.
Exactly.
So why would I think that there may be some gluten contamination?
Because it depends on how they're preparing it, what their assembly line looks like, what has been on it beforehand, what might be in the air. So for instance, gluten-free flour can actually hang in the air for 24 hours.
Wow.
Yes, that's why we don't use it at all in my house, ever. But yes, so gluten on the equipment, on shared equipment in a same factory. Some people that are super sensitive, if it's in the same factory, because it can be hanging around.
My
It can
goodness.
cross-contaminate.
You all just saw the benefit of the gluten-free
Of
scanner
the
in
scanner.
real time.
In real time, exactly, exactly. And it doesn't lie. So there's another gluten-free watchdog is another one I just learned about.
Mhm.
And they're really good. They actually call out manufacturers when they are saying something is gluten-free and it's not.
I mean, you're playing with people's lives.
Yes, people's health, exactly. Exactly. And I think of my clients too that suffer with anxiety. Could you imagine you eat something, you think it's gluten-free, and then later you're having an anxiety attack and you don't know why, because you thought you've done all the right things.
Wow.
So whole foods are best. That's the,
That really is.
that really is
That
the answer.
really is the answer. And I always, that's one of the things that I say, eating things as close to the natural state as possible is what is best for you.
Mhm. Least amount of ingredients.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing too, with even the certified gluten-free labeling is people don't understand the FDA has their requirements, right?
Mhm.
So less than 20 parts per million can constitute something being gluten-free.
Mm.
And now if it's certified gluten-free, it's less than 10 parts per million. But this is in the US. If we were in New Zealand or we were in Australia,
Mhm.
take a guess. How much? Less than how much?
I'm sure it's better than here.
3.
Wow.
3.
Wow.
So we have a lot of work to do here in the US for sure. But just know that if you are medically needing to stay to a gluten-free diet,
Mhm.
you have to look for those certified gluten-free labels. And
Wow.
it's on my Instagram, it's on my Facebook page, Health Coach for You. You can find all the up-to-date labeling and just make sure you're looking for certified gluten-free because that is the least amount that you will find.
Mhm.
But the problem with that too is serving size. Are we eating the serving size?
Right.
So if it's a
Not
box of
America,
certified gluten-free crackers
Eat
and
the whole thing.
7 crackers is a serving, and I just down half the box and I look at the box and it says serves 5,
Right.
right? So now if I'm eating out of packages, and I talked to my group about this too, if I'm having a gluten-free bagel for breakfast, and then I'm having gluten-free bread at lunch with a sandwich, and now I'm having gluten-free pasta for dinner, and I'm going, especially if I'm going over the serving
Yeah.
amounts,
It's just adding up.
it's compounding it. And so
Wow.
now the cumulative effect is I've got more than that teeny tiny crumb, that 5 grams, right, of gluten. And I'm adding more and more inflammation to that fire.
Wow.
So that's when people come to me and say, but I am gluten-free. But
And
are
you're
you
like,
really?
Yeah.
Are you really? I would say, sure. Tell me what you ate. How much
Wow.
did you eat?
Well, we've got 3 minutes left. Let me tell you a little bit about the sauce. So we did use a ready-made sauce, but you can always use hummus. If the whole nightshade conversation, you can use hummus, or you can do your own sauce. I usually do my sauce with garlic and basil and some red wine. I always add red wine to my tomato sauce, and it's just really delicious and beautiful under here. But equally, if you don't want to do all of that, this is a great shortcut.
And if you're a kitchen like myself, you could add wine to this.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you can do that. So we've got 2 minutes left.
Wonderful.
What I'm going to do is we're going to get ready to plate this lovely dish. Let's move these things out the way.
You can see.
We can see
Our
it.
lovely creation. Your lovely creation.
And we talked earlier about my spices. So here they are. I was saying I use them, so they're not full. Tofu scramble magic, which will take your plain block of flavorless, I want to kill myself tofu, to a delicious breakfast scramble. This really is good stuff.
Chef level.
Yeah, and then we have Habesha spice, which is like my nod to Ethiopia and the Eastern Horn, and then quarantine curry. My mother was from Guyana, South America. She was born in the quarantine, and this is the best curry you will ever use. And finally,
My husband's favorite.
my maroon maple jerk glaze, which is good on everything from, pan
Everything.
fried tofu to ribs. It's delicious.
Yes, he was looking for that earlier tonight. I said, we're all out. He says, where's the sauce? CC sauce, I need it. And it really is good.
Okay.
And this smells incredible. Again, I wish we had smell-o-vision for you all because this really does smell fantastic. And I think maybe if I didn't even tell him what it is, my husband's a meat-eating, pasta-loving Italian. I think just the smell might bring him out
Yeah.
to see, just curious, what is this wonderful?
Well, one thing I will tell you, this does smell and look amazing. If you wanted this to have a little more color, what I would do is I would kick up the heat a little bit, maybe put it
Okay.
on the broiler for like maybe, you know, a minute or so,
Okay.
but watch it. Oops. We do my sauce first. We've got our sauce that's gonna go on the base. So I just did like maybe a half a cup of sauce. And we're just gonna put it on the plate.
Make it look all chefy.
Make it look chefy. Exactly.
I love that.
The sauce smells really good. All right. And we've got our steaks that we're going to carefully place.
You guys see
One.
this?
So beautiful. There's one. Let me turn this around. Is there one?
Could you even get two? I feel like I would need two spatulas underneath it. Just
Oh, no, you've got it. It's fortunately it is not falling apart. So,
That looks
like
good.
that. And then why don't you
Want me to do this
put
part?
that on top there?
Now, how much of this am I putting on
As
top?
much as you want.
Wow.
I would just start in the center, go right down the center with it.
All right. This looks fantastic.
Beautiful.
This is so gorgeous. I have
Beautiful.
never made anything this gorgeous in my life. Except my beautiful daughter. I guess I could take credit for that. But in the kitchen, no.
This is great.
This is so beautiful. Am I messing
Yeah.
this
No,
up?
no, you're not. Just
Okay.
a little in there.
I followed Julia Childs with reckless abandon. Is
Ah,
that what she says?
this looks so
so good.
good. That's beautiful. And I
Am I
have,
Okay.
I'm a microgreens.
Microgreens,
nut.
yes, more nutrients. Yes.
So we're just gonna sprinkle that on
So
top.
beautiful.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have cauliflower grilled steak.
Look at
It's
that.
gonna
Oh,
slide,
let me
yeah.
throw it at you.
Can you see that?
Beautiful. Steaming, piping hot.
Steaming, piping hot
Smells
cauliflower.
amazing.
Cauliflower steak with a yummy relish tapenade salsa. And it's heart healthy, it's low calorie, it is nutrient dense.
Very.
Every single vegetable you eat has protein in it. People obsess about where do you get your protein?
Oh my goodness.
Where do you get your
All day
and
long.
I remember in culinary school, one of the chefs said, have you ever known anybody to have a protein deficiency?
No.
No, but people are obsessed with protein.
Yes.
But if you're obsessed with protein, you can get protein in a vegan or plant-based lifestyle.
Most
You just have to
definitely.
eat more stuff. You just have to,
Absolutely.
your chickpeas and your lentils and things like that.
Beans, definitely.
Beans, but this is a delicious dish. I mean, if this were on the center of your table,
Oh my gosh.
your vegetarians, your vegans, your gluten-free people would feel like they were thought of,
Yes.
were anticipated,
Yes.
and they
We
were prepared for it.
welcomed. Yes.
There you go.
This
There
is a
you go.
beautiful dish.
Well, I am so happy that you suggested this.
I am so happy that you helped me figure out how to make something.
We
look
need
so
to do
good.
this, like, this needs to be a regular thing.
We could totally make it a regular thing.
Let's make it a regular thing.
Absolutely. I'll pop it on my Insta Live next time.
So
This is exciting. We
my-
got a yay. We got another question. What are microgreens?
Oh, microgreens
Yes.
are just like, well, my definition is just like miniaturized
Teeny
versions
tiny.
of things. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is, instead of regular cilantro, it's micro cilantro. There's micro broccoli. And it's the greens
Like the
from
broccoli
broccoli.
sprouts.
Micro kale, exactly. So it has a nutritional quality and content, but
Yes.
it's more decorative.
Mhm.
Now, and it does add flavor. These in particular definitely add flavor, and I love them. So,
Fantastic. Great question. Great question.
any other questions?
Anybody else? More questions?
Thank you, Dennis. He said it looks beautiful. That's my son
It
in
really
Ghana.
does. Oh, hello.
There you go. Are you gonna take this home?
Gorgeous. If you're gonna
Yeah,
let me.
you go on and take it
Absolutely.
home. All right,
Absolutely.
everyone, thanks for joining us. We will
Thank
see you again sometime. We don't
Yes,
know, but we're gonna
definitely.
make this a regular thing. So we're gonna get our schedule together.
Absolutely. Yes, we're excited about that. Yes, I see people cheering.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.
play in with it like it's a touch screen. There we go.